It was a foggy October night when everything I thought I knew about people, animals, and second chances got turned upside down. I was just opening up the station like I did every morning for the past 30 years, coffee still brewing in the back, when I saw him. Standing there, alone, in the middle of the parking lot. A bull. Not a cow, not a lost steer. A full-grown, jet-black bull, bigger than any I'd seen outside a rodeo. And he wasn't panicking or charging or anything like that. No, was just waiting. Like he'd been standing there all night, watching the highway, like he was expecting someone to come back. At first, I thought I must be seeing things. But the closer I got, the more real it became. This wasn't some wild animal. He had a clean coat, trimmed hooves, even a calm look in his eyes, like he was used to being around people. I walked up slow, careful like I'd approach a wounded dog. "Easy, big guy," I said, half laughing at myself. And would you believe it, he didn't flinch. Just let out this low, aching sound that hit me right in the gut. It wasn't fear. It was heartbreak. Turns out, his name was Duke. At least, that's what folks online started calling him after the story spread. And oh, it spread. By noon that day, there were news vans out front, kids drawing him with crayons, and ranchers stopping by offering guesses on his breed and value. Angus mixed with Hereford, probably worth over 15 grand easy. But none of that mattered to Duke. He wasn't trying to run or break loose. He just kept staring down the road, like he was waiting for the ones who left him behind. I didn't know the full story then, but I could see it in his eyes. This wasn't a bull that wandered off. He'd been left in purpose. And not by strangers. No, someone who raised him from a calf, someone he trusted, had driven off in the middle of the night and dumped him like a piece of trash. That tore me up. You could feel the weight of it in the way he stood like a kid left on the curb with a suitcase. And something about that hit close to home. I'd lost my wife Martha 3 years back. Been keeping this station going mostly out of habit. My son lives out in California, calls once a month if I'm lucky. So yeah, I knew something about being left behind. Animal control told me they'd need a couple days to come back with proper equipment, maybe sell him at auction if no owner came forward. The thought of Duke ending up in some industrial lot or meat truck made me sick. I started bringing him hay, setting up a shaded spot. Sat out there next to him in a lawn chair, just talking. He listened, too. Like he understood. Like maybe he was grieving just the same way I was. Next day, a woman named Dr. Ellen Brooks came out, veterinarian from 3 towns over. She checked Duke out, said he was in perfect health, well socialized, well cared for, and definitely abandoned. She said feeding a bull that size cost at least $100 a week, not to mention vet bills. She'd seen it before, families pushed into impossible choices. Good people, bad luck. I tried not to judge, until I saw the truck. On the 3rd morning, Duke got real alert, ears perked, body tense. I followed his gaze, and there it was, a dark blue pickup parked across the highway, half hidden behind some trees. Same truck I'd seen drive by every morning since Duke showed up. This time it stopped, waited a while, then pulled off again. That's when I knew. Those were the folks who left him. I was still chewing on that when animal control came back. But they weren't alone. A man named Bill Travers, big rancher from Texas, showed up with a trailer and a signed agreement to buy Duke at auction. Said he had the resources to care for him. Big operation, all that. But something about him didn't sit right. Too smooth. Too proud. Like he saw Duke as a trophy, not a soul. Then came the lawyer, Robert Lane. Said he'd been following the story online, flew in on his own dime. Told me Montana law had a 72-hour abandonment clause. Said if no one reclaimed the bull within that window, the county could place him permanently. He looked me straight in the eye and said, "If you want him, Mr. Collins, the law says you can keep him." I didn't even hesitate. "Then he stays," I said. "Right here with me." Bill Travers puffed up, said he'd sue, said I couldn't care for a bull at a gas station. But Duke made the decision easy. When Travers approached, Duke backed away, snorted, even pawed the ground. But when I said, "Come on, Duke," that bull walked over, calm as a dog, and laid his head against my chest. Everyone saw it, even the deputy, who made the final call. I'd get a 30-day trial period. If I could prove proper care, he'd be mine for good. I was over the moon, already drawing up fencing plans with a neighbor, thinking about feed delivery, water systems, maybe a little barn out back. That night, just as the sun was setting, the truck came back. They didn't stay in the shadows this time. Pulled right into the lot. 3 folks got out, a man, a woman, and a teenage girl. I knew who they were before they spoke. Duke did too. He stood up so fast the gravel shifted under him. His whole body shook. The girl, her name was Lily, I found out later, called his name softly. "Duke." "It's me." The bull looked from her to me, confused, torn. The man, John, his name, was stepped forward. "We didn't know what else to do," he said. "We lost the farm. Couldn't afford feed. No one would take him. We've been driving by every day, making sure he was okay." I'll admit, I was mad. Mad for Duke. Mad for every animal that gets treated like a burden when times get hard. But I looked at the girl, tears running down her cheeks, and I saw it wasn't lying. Neither was the mother, Sarah, who stood back by the truck crying silent rivers. These weren't cruel people, just broken ones. I didn't say much, just asked them what they wanted. "To make it right," John said, "we want to sign over custody. Officially. And maybe visit. Once in a while." I looked at Duke. He was still standing between us, waiting. I said, "What do you think, buddy? You okay with visits?" Duke walked over to Lily and gently touched his nose to her shoulder. Then he turned back, circled me, and laid his head on my arm. That was all the answer we needed. They stayed another hour, told me stories about Duke as a calf, how he used to be scared of thunderstorms and liked having his ears scratched. Gave me his old whistle command, too. I promised to keep all that alive. When they finally left, it wasn't like the first time. Duke watched the truck go, but didn't try to follow. He was home now, and he knew it. In the weeks that followed, we fenced in a pasture behind the station. Local ranchers donated supplies. School kids painted signs. Duke became a roadside legend. Folks would come by just to see him lying under the shade tree or licking kids' ice cream cones. Every evening, I'd sit out with him and talk. About Martha. About getting older. About how strange life is. He'd listen, head cocked like he understood every word. And you know what? Maybe he did. People say animals don't remember. That they don't choose, don't feel, don't forgive. But they haven't met Duke. He chose to wait. He chose to trust. And in the end, he chose to stay. What do you think? Would you have taken him in? Let him go with the rancher? Or sent him back to the family who broke his heart? Tell me down in the comments. Because sometimes the hardest part of life isn't what we lose. It's deciding what to do with the second chance we're given.